All right, I'll tell you where the bodies are buried. I pulled up 3 new power of sale listings in Brampton this morning before my coffee was even cold. The headlines say we're all supposed to be completely shocked by this. I'm not. My capacity for surprise died somewhere around the 400th blind bidding war of 2021. You can only watch a crowd of people bet their life savings on a roulette wheel for so long before you stop acting surprised when it turns up green. Because for 4 years, we ran the entire GTA housing market like a casino with the lights off. Grown adults betting the house. Literally the house with money the government printed that week. Taking second mortgages. Private second mortgages from a guy whose office shares a wall with a vape shop. Staring at 1% interest like it's a law of physics. Like a permanent promise from the universe. Let's look at this objectively. It's debt. The bank is not your buddy. When a casino spots you 50 grand in free chips, you don't get misty and go, wow, Caesar's Palace really believes in my journey. You're not the dreamer in that story. You're the mark. And you know who looks at the cheapest money in 5,000 years of recorded civilization? 5,000 years, we have the receipts. They're on the clay tablets. And builds a 30-year plan on top of it? A speculator. And the bill always finds the speculator. Always. And has his home address. So then, the Bank of Canada raised rates. And this is where it gets technical, so stay with me. When you borrow $1 million at 5% instead of 1%, the payment gets bigger. Nobody saw it coming. Well, everybody saw it coming. Just nobody who borrowed the $1 million. All right, jokes are over because this number is real. The cheap money era is dead, and over $200 billion in Canadian mortgages slams into the renewal cliff this year. That's the bill finally arriving at the table. Hours after the party ended, one guy still sitting there holding a sparkler. But here's what everybody gets wrong. Your uncle, the comment section, those Toronto to Zero channels, all of them. This is not a crash. A crash is the whole building coming down. What's happening across the GTA right now is surgical. A few specific rooms are on fire. The rest of the house doesn't even smell smoke. So stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know the exact 4 pockets where the math broke, who's left holding the bill, and how to make sure the next name on it isn't yours. Let's start in the obvious place, downtown Toronto, CO1, Liberty Village, King West. Condos now make up nearly half of every power of sale listing in the city of Toronto. Half. These are the pre-construction speculators who bought at the 2022 peak and bet the whole thing on rent growth riding in like the cavalry to cover their math. The cavalry didn't show. Values are down 15 to 22%. Maintenance fees climb every quarter. These units are deeply cash flow negative. They're bleeding thousands of dollars a month just to keep the lights on in a 500 square foot box. Nobody here is selling because they found a nicer place. They're selling to stop the hemorrhaging. And honestly, everybody saw the condos coming. That was easy. The next one, nobody's watching. And it's worse. Brampton, highest concentration of power of sale filings by land density in the entire GTA. Now, technically, Toronto takes the crown for raw volume because of the condos. And yes, Toronto is technically part of the Greater Toronto Area. But forget raw volume for a second and look at who's holding the debt. Roughly 2/3 of these filings since 2022 weren't started by the big banks. They were started by private lenders. Sit with how unstable that is. You've got a buyer who couldn't qualify at a real bank, so he goes to a private lender for a 1 or 2 year mortgage. Fine. Except the private lender often borrowed against his own house to fund the loan. So now you've got 2 guys who can't swim agreeing to be each other's lifeguard. When the music stops, the lender isn't forcing the sale because he's greedy. He's forcing it because he's about to go under too. That's not a market correcting. That's a terrifying chain reaction. Pocket 3. The east end of Toronto somehow planted its feet in hell, sort of. WO3, Stockyards, Corso Rotalia, Weston Pelham Park, did not. The composite benchmark price there fell nearly 12% year over year in early 2026. This was flipper country. High leverage joint ventures, quick cosmetic renos, in and out. But when your holding costs double overnight, every flipper on the street decides to leave the party with the same door at the same time. Half-finished projects hit the market all at once. And then the gap between what these sellers think the house is worth and what a buyer will actually pay gets wider every single week. Every flipper in the neighborhood suddenly discovered they're a long-term investor. That always happens at the worst time. And then there's the quiet one. Aurora and Newmarket up in York region. No chaos here, no fire sale energy, just a slow, steady drip of high-end detached homes listed by people who are very obviously motivated and would really prefer you didn't ask why. These aren't gamblers. These are families. Somebody bought a beautiful $1.5 million home in 2021 at a historic low rate felt like an absolute genius for 36 months. The loan was 360 months. Now they're staring down a renewal at 4.5% or higher. The payment just jumped $2,000 a month, and they're quietly listing to pull out whatever equity is left before the bank shows up and does it for them. Imagine sitting at that kitchen table. There's no villain in that room, just good people who trusted a number that was never gonna last. Here's your fun fact of the day. Go back to ancient Babylon, 1800 BC, under the Code of Hammurabi. The legal interest rate to borrow silver was 20%. The Roman Empire, and don't get on me, history buffs, 8. In 2020, the Bank of Canada dropped rates to 0.25. Do you understand what that actually means? We didn't live through low interest rates. We lived through the greatest statistical anomaly in the recorded history of human civilization. And millions of people built their entire 30-year financial life on top of a fluke. 3 years ago, the emotion was FOMO. Today, the emotion is pain. Different feeling. Exact same mistake. Letting the feeling do the math. Because here's what the buyers who kept their heads down and are quietly moving into W03 in Brampton right now actually understands. They don't care about the news cycle. They run on two things. One, financial credibility. While everyone else was over-leveraging to lease cars they couldn't afford, these people stayed boring and stayed bankable. So when they walk into a bank today, the bank says yes. 2, the wisdom of experience. They don't guess. They use people who've done this 100 times to filter out their own ego, tell them the difference between a genuine opportunity and a falling knife dressed up like a deal. That's the whole game. Financial credibility and somebody honest enough to tell you when to walk away. So let me be straight with you, because this is the part where most realtors start closing. I would genuinely rather talk you out of a falling knife than sell you one for a commission. That's the actual job. Book a 15-minute call with me in the description. And if you want to know the practical difference for buyers and sellers between a power of sale and a foreclosure, because they are not the same thing, that difference could cost you, click the video right here. I'll walk you through the real estate mechanics. 3 years ago, people were buying because they were terrified of missing out. Today, they're selling because they're terrified of losing everything. Different emotion, same problem.